Learn when you've overstayed your welcome. How to use emotional intelligence to determine when it's time for you to move on. You felt out of place. You felt unwanted in some work or personal settings. You stay because of loyalty, or you stay because of obligation, or you stay just because you're afraid to make a move. Because you remain in these environments that you were not supposed to be in the first place, or ones that you've outgrown, it makes you feel like you're stuck. And that's what, you also feel like it's going to take divine intervention to get a change in your life. In the past, you've tried to make a move to leave a relationship or to start a business or to even work on yourself, but it doesn't work. And now you battle feelings of helplessness, and that helplessness leads to you feeling stuck. It reflects in how you feel about yourself. And self awareness is the key to getting you out of that stuck situation. So, in this video, I'll lay out the 2 skills that show you how to recognize that you are in an environment that is harmful to your emotions and you've been in that situation too long. And then I'm going to tell you just what you could do to not overstay your welcome and how to create an environment that actually works for you. Okay. So, first thing is that you don't need to make a big announcement when you're about to change things up. And a lot of times we do that to look better to other people. You tell them what you're going to do, this big thing, just so that you look like you're productive, like you're an active participant in your life, right? But you don't need to do that. You also don't need to confront people that have hurt you over and over again to try to get closure. When you've attempted these things and it just doesn't work, you end up feeling hurt more than you did before you attempted to get this so called closure that you need. What you need is a sense of urgency, right? I love the word urgency. You need a sense of urgency when it comes to addressing your emotions so that you're able to make changes that actually count, changes that actually make an impact on your life. You know, what I'm going to talk about right now, overstaying your welcome, has a lot to do with 2 major factors. I mentioned one, which is self awareness. But let's just see if you can recognize when other people have overstayed their welcome. Like, have you ever been in a business meeting or a social environment and somebody just doesn't pick up on social cues? They don't get it. They just don't. And everybody's looking at them and they don't even know that they're making a behind of themselves. They talk too much or they say inappropriate things. They don't examine the room before they engage with people. Okay. They turn people off with little or no effort. This person is not socially aware. So I talked about self-awareness. The other thing is socially aware. Social awareness is the ability to accurately notice the emotions of others and read situations appropriately. Nobody's going to tell you everything that's going on. You should be able to pick up on some clues. Okay, so if you miss developing um, social awareness, that person that we talked about earlier could be you. You could be the one that's not picking up on the social cues. You could be the one that is having an inappropriate conversation, or you could be the one who is being disruptive and you don't even know it. Okay, so being social aware is a sophisticated trait. I love the word sophisticated. I use it to describe myself on many occasions. Okay, the full name of this YouTube channel is Brains and Baubles, the lifestyle musing of an urban sophisticate. That's me. Urban meaning that I am from the urban environment. I have knowledge and experience with dealing with people in urban settings. And musings are just my thoughts, my ideas, the concepts that I've come up with based on being sophisticated, meaning doing the work, getting knowledge, and having experience that I can share with other people. So even the name of the course that I'm developing is Sophisticated Empowerment. So after taking my course, you will learn and have developed skills of a sophisticate. So let me just tell you what the definition of sophistication is, okay? It's the quality of having an understanding of the world in ways and having an understanding of the way people behave. And that's from the Cambridge Dictionary. Another definition of sophistication is comfortable in social situation and knows about culture, fashion, and other matters that are considered socially important. So being well read, or at least being able to participate in conversations. And that's from Collins Dictionary. So you don't just become sophisticated by just letting life happen to you. You don't become sophisticated by just doing what everyone else is doing. You don't become sophisticated when you don't have peace in your life and have a peaceful environment. And I know you're looking for peace, because if you've overstayed your welcome, you feel uneasy and you can't feel peaceful. Okay. So the two skills you need to master so that you don't overstay your welcome is number one, self-awareness, and number two, social awareness. Okay. These two are the major components to master to become a sophisticate. And I know you want to become a sophisticate. So let me just explain about self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to look introspectively. So you are going to be able to manage your emotions because you'll know what your triggers are, and you will have come up with ways to address those triggers and set up an environment where you're not triggered that way all the time. So you can even go to last week's YouTube video. It's called How You Show Up as a Triggered Responder. And I go into detail about how to address your emotions, how to practice self-awareness, how to develop that skill in a way that you can know what your triggers are and not respond to them. You'll become an emotional planner so that you can do the things that you want in your life. Now, social awareness is a little bit different. With social awareness, you become a charismatic person. You know how to talk to people in many different situations. You know how to get results because you can read the room. You have the ability to recognize someone else's emotions, or that they are having an emotion of some sort. You might not know what it is, but you get those cues that other person didn't get, right? So knowing when to work on aspects of your emotions that allow you to determine when you need to dig deeper or make a shift or change or leave an environment is paramount to your happiness. If you're just letting life happen to you, if you're just you're drifting into situations that aren't serving you and then aren't doing anything to change them, you're not going to be happy, or you're not going to have the happiness that you desire, right? That's what you say. You want happiness, but do you even know what happiness is? So sophistication shows up in your self-confidence and your ability to communicate. So without sophistication, guess what you do? You talk too much. You don't know when you're not participating in the conversation in the way that is moving the conversation forward or adding value, or you're just talking too much. And I've been around people who are like, why won't they just stop talking? They're not picking up that I'm not responding. You don't see me not talking to you. That means that you should stop talking to me. Okay. And then sometimes people who are not sophisticated or they don't have social awareness feel awkward in silence. You know, my husband, he always talks about, it's okay to have that awkward silence, especially in a professional environment. It gives yourself a moment to think. You don't always have to fill the air or making some kind of noise with conversation. That's really not how conversation works. You actually have to be quiet so the other person can say something. And then there might be a moment where no one's saying anything. My practice is to say something when what I have to say has value. Okay. And then another thing that unsophisticated people do is that they have that nervous laughter when they're in a new or uncomfortable environment. Oftentimes, when I worked a regular corporate job, we'd be in business meetings. And, sometimes those business meetings can get very uncomfortable, especially when you're talking about numbers and performance and things like that. I've seen people in this meeting who I would think would be more savvy than they are. But they, when they go to speak and it's their turn to say something, they have this nervous laughter to kind of put themselves at ease, but it doesn't make them look better. Okay. So getting to the point, overstaying your welcome or not reading the room or the people in the room can be detrimental to where you are in your life and your relationships. If you're constantly being an overstepper or you're constantly talking too much, it impacts your relationships because people don't want to be around you necessarily. So let's talk about one of the areas where you're very much impacted. And if you overstay your welcome in this area, it definitely impacts your ability to find the happiness and joy and achieve goals that you've set for yourself, if you set any goals for yourself at all. And those are your friend relationships. They influence your values, they influence your activities. Friend relationships can take energy from you. And I know this because I always talk about being a former people pleaser. I'm always willing to help people, but sometimes people can drain your energy. And listen, when I say this, if you've been a friend of mine and we've talked or I've helped you work through something, don't take this personally. This is just about me. Okay. It's just about me expressing how I feel in that situation. Sometimes a person can take your energy because you want to help them so much that you are listening to the problem over and over again. You have empathy for them and you really want to see them successful or come out of the situation unscathed as possible. And so that does weigh in on you. It does for me because I would take on someone's problems and I'm mulling it over in my head like, wow, how could they get out of this? What can be done? And I'm like, how can I help? Oh, I know this website and I'm sending them stuff. It gets to be too much. And so my energy gets taken. And so it's up to me to determine when I've overstayed in that situation. But friends can really, really change the direction and many dynamics in your life. You've heard the phrase birds of a feather flock together. That's so true. So you have to look around, check out your friends. What are your friends doing? What are your friends talking about? What are those conversations about? Are they about frivolous, mundane things? Or are they about something that's uplifting or pushing the needle forward? You know, I always talk about your emotions, your emotions impacting your thinking impacting your behavior, and your behavior impacting your environment. So, where you are right now, with the friends you have right now, is all based on your ability to be emotionally intelligent, your ability to take your emotions, manage them, change them so that your thinking can be different. And on many videos, I go over some of the steps that you can do to manage your emotions. And maybe the next one, I will go a little bit deeper on how you can manage your emotions so you can change the way that you think and then change your behavior and change your environment. So let's just talk about friends again. If you are in an environment with friends that have negative self talk, maybe they're scammers, liars, gossipers, or they could just be people who are content to be where they are right now. I mean, they don't have any ambition to do anything more than what they're doing right now. That's not the environment you should be in. On the flip side, you should be seeking friends, and you might even have friends that have a positive outlook on life. You might have friends that are going back to school or that are really taking time to build a business, or they really are philanthropic. They do things in the community. They really want to help people. They can be a beacon or an inspiration for you. So, depending on your environment, is what's going to impact your emotions, therefore impact your thinking and your behavior. So my goal is always to have the most optimum environment available. And it's up to me to determine how I'm going to do that. So look at your friend group. Are you the smartest person in the room? Are you the smartest person in your group? Are you the only one who's thinking or doing something different or wants a change in their life? I mean, look at it. Look at your friends. Think about 1, 2, and 3, the people that you spend the most time with. What are they doing? If they're doing anything. Because their lack of motivation, though, doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that, okay, I'm going to have to reassess this, because you should change your environment to get different results. And that means changing who you're connected with, who you interact with, and who you have communication with all the time. Because you can't overstay your position in that relationship to the point that it impacts you. I can tell you a story about me. And I love this person. But there was a point with a childhood friend that we were going in different directions. Every time I call, I might get a different person because they hadn't managed their emotions yet. So one time I might call, they'd be like, "Hey, how you doing? Let's get together." The next time they call, they're like, "What? Everybody keeps calling me and bothering me." Well, let me tell you something. I don't do well with that. That's not what I need. If I'm going to be your friend, the way that I am, I show up as me all the time. I'm managing my emotions so I don't take it out on someone else. So what I told this friend, she finally said, "You don't come around anymore. We don't hang out anymore." I said, "Yeah, I'm doing X, Y, and Z right now." I felt like I should tell her that I was doing something. I wouldn't just want to be mean to this person. I love this person. I said, "Give me about 6 months to a year, and I'm working on this. I really am concentrating, and then we can hang out again." Oh, it was okay. It was okay. And if it wasn't okay, I would still have to be okay with it, because I'd have to manage my own life, right? So if you overstay your welcome in friendships, you'll just be like your friends, no matter how it started. My dad used to say, "You can't ride in the ruts with your friends." So in Michigan, when we used to get snow when I was younger, it would hang around a long time and it'd be really high. So if you're riding down a residential street, you wouldn't have a choice but to ride in the ruts that were created by other cars riding in those ruts. And if there's a rut on that street, that means that it's not a two-way street anymore. So if there was a car coming in the opposite direction, one of the cars would have to pull over so that the other one could pass. And so if you're riding in the ruts with your friends, you don't have the option to get out and do things like you want to get out of a situation. You're in there with them. Here's a solution for you. Tell your friends you'll be stepping back, and depending on the relationship, explain or don't explain. And then find a group of like minded people that you can connect with, people who are doing things, people who are changing their lives, who are investing in themselves. Those are the people who you want to be around, so you can develop these skills that are going to help you pivot when you need to, make moves when you need to. And you could do that by going looking for Facebook groups. I have a Facebook group, right? It's called Sophisticated Empowerment. You could go to my Facebook group and join it, like minded individuals. You can start going to school. You can start networking. But let me tell you about networking. You only need to network with people who are in the industry that you're in or doing the thing that you're interested in doing. Don't network for the sake of networking because you want to go somewhere and dress up and have a drink. That's a waste of time. You need to be proactive with your life because time is moving on. Okay. Another major influence on our life and a place where we may overstay our welcome is at work. Your where you work, how you work, and the people that you work with and how you're treated at work impacts every area of your life. Not just because that's where you get your money, but that's because it's where you spend the majority of your time. And issues at work impact your self esteem, especially when you are not doing or performing as well as you hope. It can impact your self esteem. You feel like, well, goodness, I went to school. I know that I know what I'm doing. Why is it that I can't get this thing moving? It might not be you. Okay. It might just be the machine. Okay. It impacts your home life because you can bring those problems home. I've worked in an environment that um, wasn't necessarily the people per se that impacted me, but the nature of the job. And I would bring that home with me and it weighed heavy on me. And so it impacted my home life. And then, if it's weighing heavy on me and how I'm feeling and how I'm dealing with my emotions, I know it impacts my performance, whether I want to admit it or not. And then it impacts the relationships. Sorry about that. It impacts the relationship, my personal relationships, because how I deal with other people is based on how I see myself and my self awareness. Okay. So if I'm working in an environment and I'm not feeling good right now, that's going to translate in how I deal in my relationships. So people usually overstay their welcome until something happens, like they get fired or they get written up or there's some big thing that happened. They usually stay in that environment. Most people aren't quick to move, but you may say, Davina, well, when is it the time to change? You know, the time to change is when your emotions are impacted by the environment at your, or the culture at your job. Okay, because keep in mind, your job is not where you make friends. They don't really care about you in the way that friends would or other types of relationships. It's an exchange. It's a transaction. You're exchanging your time or efforts for money. That's it. If you're not performing, if you're not meeting the standards of that job, then there is no love there. So when is it time to change? When your emotions are impacted. And you might say, do I owe loyalty to the company that I work for? Well, I feel different about that. It just depends. I mean, you should do what's ethical and moral at all costs. Now, whether or not a 2-week notice is needed as under certain situations, that's to be determined. I haven't always given a 2-week notice, but I know that I have self-awareness. So it was never a thing where, oh, I'm going to need this person to write a letter of recommendation, or they're going to listen. At the point that I'm ready to leave, I'm ready to leave. Okay. So here are some conditions that may show that you are staying over the time that you should, especially if you're not making enough money. If you're not making enough money where you feel comfortable going to work every day. It's hard to go to work every day as it is, but if you're going to work every day and then the money is not where you need it to be to handle your financial responsibilities, then it's time to seek some other opportunities. If you're at a job and you're not using your skills, you were hired for one thing, but now you're doing another job and it's not using the skills, even if it's something that you went to school for, or it's not the job description. And there's flexibility in the job description, but if you're not using your skills, then it might be time for you to move on. If you're not being heard, even though they say they have an open door policy, it's time to move on. Poor leadership will send me packing every time. And poor leadership isn't just your immediate supervisor. I mean, the culture comes from the top. If you see that there is a culture of abuse or bullying, it doesn't have to happen to you. If you see it happening to other people, it can happen to you. But poor leadership can send me packing from any company. I have been in a situation where the culture is toxic. I've been lied to by corporate. My whole team was lied to by corporate. Does that deserve my loyalty? I don't want to go anywhere to get lied to. I don't care who it is. And then making friends at work. Making friends at work is good. I have made some longtime friends at work, but I don't go seeking friendship. It might not end up being friendship. I mean, for me, I think it was just based on my personality and the personality of the people that I was around. But friends at work, yeah, okay. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But friends at work can impact how you perform at work. They can impact your reputation at work. They can also not be as friendly as you think they are, because I've seen people thrown under the bus, or you call it backstabbing. So don't go in making friends at work, because if you have issues socially at work, it impacts your performance. Okay. Corporate life is not easy. And if you're working a job that's not corporate, meaning that you're not getting in a salary and there's this big overarching company, You maybe you're working in a small business. It's definitely different than working in corporate America. I do talk about corporate America in my book, but if you want to be in corporate, like I have a good girlfriend, she's climbed the corporate ladder, she has it down. um, and she was my manager, and she was an awesome leader. But if you want to know more about working in corporate America, I'm not the one to really coach you to that. There is a lady that I follow on Instagram. Her name is the Cat Parker on Instagram. She talks about working in a corporate environment and leadership. She does an excellent job. Follow her if that's the track that you want to go on. But small business life, hey, that's for me. My family owned a small business for many years. I developed bonds with the people that worked for our company because I had the ability to really be impactful. I could use my emotional intelligence skills to really help develop an environment that thrived and was productive. Okay. So the solution for knowing what to do when you think you may have overstayed your welcome in a work environment is to determine what type of work would make you happy and satisfied. Now, just because you don't like it and you want to move, don't make a lateral move. Don't move to another company doing the same thing because it's just going to repeat itself. What you should do is to really think about what it is that would make you happy, what type of work environment, and what type of job. And then you find someone that's doing what it is you want to do or in a company where you want to work and ask them questions. Look, we're on social media. If you're on LinkedIn, people on LinkedIn will talk to you. I talk to people on LinkedIn all the time. Ask them a question. They will help you or take you in the right direction. And then once you find out the information you need to transition into the type of environment you want to be in, do what it takes to be qualified. Do what it takes. It may take you going back to school. It may take you just learning some different skills. It may take you, you know, doing some things at your current job so you'll have the experience to transition. You need to create that plan because I'm not suggesting that just because I don't like it, I'm just going to quit. No, you have responsibility. You have obligations to yourself to have money in your pocket. Sometimes a career or a job could be a bridge to your next venture. So, no, I'm not suggesting you just quit your job. I'm suggesting that you create a plan so that you can change your environment. You can stay a little while longer with the plan. Okay. A good friend of mine used to say, I don't need a ton of bricks to fall on my head to understand what's going on. I'm moving on to the next area where you may have overstayed your welcome. Most time when it's time to move on, you already know it if you're in a relationship. I love court shows. So any court show you want to think about, I'll watch it. And too often I see women stay in relationships for way too long. You already know that the relationship isn't going to work. But for some reason, you have to have this certain kind of confirmation before you make the move. Like, I don't believe in waiting and just going to see what's going to happen after you have, shown somebody over and over and over again that you're going to take their default emotion and their default actions towards you. Women want men to show up like romantic leads in the movies we see. They want Darius Love Hall from Love Jones, but you settle for someone that's the total opposite just because he approached you. And now that you've been in this toxic relationship for 10 years, you somehow place more value on the time served than how you feel in the relationship. And that really doesn't serve you. Self-awareness and social awareness are going to be the key to making sure that this doesn't happen to you ever again. If it's never happened to you before, great. Because I'm not bashing anyone for wanting companionship. You want to have a partner to experience life with you. I get it. You want someone that you can snuggle with, snuggle whenever and as often as you want to. I get that. You're also hoping beyond hope, right? This person is only snuggling with you. Okay. My dad used to say, life is not a fantasy. So, social awareness will help you to determine if the person that you meet has the potential to be worthy of being your companion, being your partner, and especially being your snuggle buddy. You will be able to use emotional intelligence so that it'll empower you to not take what's offered to you, but to wait and seek out what you want. And I'm talking about the person. So just because all you are meeting is this one type of guy, and just because, okay, this guy approached you, that doesn't mean you have to entertain him. What it means is you need to start doing some work. You must be self aware to understand that you have a choice to engage or not to engage. Okay. You're past the point of helping someone find themselves. You're past the point of helping someone address emotional issues from their childhood. And you're not in the business of teaching them how to treat you. Now, there is a degree of showing somebody how to treat you, but I'm telling you, if he doesn't know not to disrespect you, if he doesn't know to be kind to you, to use kind words, to treat you nice, to show you that he's interested, to pay the bill. Hey, to pay the bill, I said that, not split the bill. Pay the bill when you go out. It's not for you to teach him. That's not the one for you, because there are people out there who know how to do what it is you're looking for. You just have to be self aware and boost up your self confidence to know that you don't have to take just what's coming to you. Okay. If these are requirements, the ones that I listed for you to find a mate, you really have some work to do on yourself. Social awareness will allow you to take him at his word, because people will tell you who they are when you first meet them. You just have to listen. You have to have your ears on. Okay. Most times people tell you who they are and they show you who they are. You can't excuse things that are a violation of what your sensibilities are. Like, one of my violations when I was dating was don't waste my time. I would dismiss somebody or not engage with somebody if they say, oh, do you want to go out? Yeah, sure, I'll go out with you. But then they don't give me a date or a time. And they say, well, I'll call you on Tuesday. Look, my time is valuable. Don't just call me on Tuesday thinking I'm going to be available waiting on you all day. Listen, you're not the only one in my book. Number one, I'm not saying this to them. This is my own thinking. You're not the only one in my book. So, in order for me to place the value and the worthiness on myself, I have to have these standards and boundaries. So, one of them is you set up a proper date and time for me and you keep it. If you stand me up, then we're done. You didn't value me. I value me. Okay. In the past, I may have turned a blind eye, to some things in a relationship. But I'm telling you, you need to observe and listen, because they're going to tell you exactly who they are. If you think you don't have options other than developing a relationship with someone who already has a woman, right? Or someone who is emotionally unavailable, or someone who isn't interested in being a committed partner to you, then you shouldn't date for a minute. Your emotions and your feelings are the most important part of a relationship. When you're just meeting someone and you're getting to know them, you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them anything. You owe yourself everything. Okay. I've dated people and it didn't work out. I've accepted someone's default emotions for a time, right? I've been delusional about the difference between lust and romance, thinking that I could handle a snuggle buddy relationship only, and realizing that a woman can't handle a snuggle bunny relationship. And I do mean that. And I'm not taking those words back. Because I developed my emotional intelligence, self awareness, and social awareness empowered me to say, nope, That's enough. Not for me. I'm done. Deuces, whatever, however I wanted to say it. Because I knew who I was and I was able to read the room, pick up social cues, and I valued myself. I valued my worthiness and I protected my emotions. Okay, it's nothing wrong with putting yourself first in a relationship. And that's what you're going to need to do when you're looking for someone. Now, I'm not saying that if you're in a relationship, specifically a marriage, you have work to do. If you're not getting what you want from that, you owe it to yourself and your partner to go seek help and work on that relationship. But honey, if you just meeting him and y'all talking or kicking it or whatever, you don't owe him that. You owe yourself. So I'm not overstaying my welcome because I'm not even coming to the venue, honey, if it ain't right. So a solution to this is to find a source to assist you in thinking differently about yourself. If you think you have to accept someone's default emotions or default treatment and behavior, then you have work to do on you because you are the person that you can change. I know for a fact that you can change yourself. It's not your job to figure him out. I can help you understand how to manage your emotions so others' default emotions, reactions, or lack of motivation doesn't make you hang around longer than you should. Start with these ideas of self and social awareness first. Okay, you can get my book, Brains and Baubles, Do What Works for You. In the book, I talk about some of my own experience in recognizing when to move on from friendships or how to show up in new relationships, and then even making choices about my career. Okay, so only you know when your time is up. Your friends are happy with you right where you are. So you don't have to worry about losing friends if you don't do anything. Even though change may be difficult for your friends, um, in the beginning, if they are truly your friends, they will understand. Okay. And then about relationships, relationships come and go until you find someone who is ready when you are, then it's just not the right time. Timing is everything. Okay. You owe it to yourself and your emotions to use your gifts and talents to serve society. So if you're not being fulfilled and using your gifts and talents in the place where you spend 40 plus hours a week, then you need to figure out a plan to do just that, to make a way for you to contribute to society. It is what we are here and made for. Okay. And if you're not using your gifts and talents, you got to find a way to do it right now. All right. So start taking steps to become the person you want to be today. Learn more ways to apply emotional intelligence to your life. Hit the subscribe button below so you won't miss out on sophisticated tips to help you manage your emotions so that you can become the person to do the thing you've always wanted to do. All right. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye.